Welcome to the Time Excellence Show, episode 111. Hi, I'm Douglas Calvin, and on the Time Excellence Show, we prospect for time, discovering nuggets of opportunity to make more of a difference in your organization, your career, and your personal life. Today we have got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about smartphone addict. Yes, we're going to be looking at an example and see if there's a lesson we can be learned from an 8-year-old. We're going to be looking at time tips, a foundational time tip that we all need, and the all is especially me. So welcome to that. We're gonna really be going at a pretty quick pace today to get all the content in. So strap your seatbelt on and let's get started. Real time. The time impact of your smartphone. Have you ever thought about it? It's something that maybe is in the back of our minds, but we don't really think through how impactful it is to ourselves and, even more importantly, to others. So we're going to look at that today. We're going to look at Debbie's story. She's got a quick story that we want to learn from. Well, Debbie's at home most of the day because of health issues, and her husband is at work. So she's home alone and used to work, and she is at home watching her phone. Well, why? Because almost all of my friends still work outside the home. My email and text messages are almost my only contact with others during the day. Well, I think we can get a feeling for the situation. There's a little bit of isolation there and loneliness. She's using her phone to communicate with others. The problem is, who's she communicating with? Those that are working. And texts and email messages coming to those working, well, it might be done properly. You know, they might be answering at lunch or at break. But you know how the temptation is. Your phone rings or vibrates, whatever you've got it set on, and you'll answer that. So she's sending out these most of the day. But she's fulfilling something in her life, that need for contact, need for someone to communicate with. And that's something that she sees as necessary. Well, she goes on that she didn't realize how much time she spent looking at her phone until one of her grandchildren over spring break made a comment. Now, this is an 8-year-old. And the granddaughter looked at her and said, "Why are you so addicted to that phone?" Wow, talk about a role reversal. Why are you so addicted to that phone? The younger generation telling the older generation that they're spending too much time. In fact, the word used from an 8-year-old is the word addicted. Why are you so addicted to that phone? Does that sound familiar to you? Is that something that you've noticed, whether it be your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer? How much time are you spending on it? And would you consider addicted to be an appropriate word in your situation? Well, her story continues. She observed a couple of things. Number one, her daughter must be doing a great job staying connected with the kids, because her granddaughter saw the phone addiction as something out of the ordinary. Well, that's a good thing for the mom, because she's saying, "Hey, I'm feeling you're not listening to me. You're here with me, but you're always looking at your phone. You're always doing it." Obviously, that's something she's not used to seeing. So Debbie says, "You know, my daughter is doing a great job. She's doing better than I am, And we've got a little generational role reversal here that is interesting, but very important in its lessons. She determined that she just had to stop. She had to not be using this phone so much to where others are seeing it as a distraction. You're not paying attention to me, actually hurting feelings. And a granddaughter is one that is probably going to say exactly what's on her mind. That's still the age group that's just going to say it. What they see comes out of their mouth. And that can be at times a good thing. How much time was I wasting that could be used? And she listed some things in her life that were important, some important things. But the key is she's recognizing now, not only was her granddaughter not happy with the attention that she wasn't getting, then Debbie stood back and said, I'm wasting a lot of time. And isn't that a lesson that we can all learn? There are things that creep into our life and we don't really see them. And in this case, Debbie's saying, I'm wasting a lot of time, because that comment from her granddaughter let her back up and just look at things in general and say, things have got to stop. I've got to do better. Well, Alice, another story that reflects the same thing. Alice has a 6-year-old son, and before bed, he said, Mama, you have too much screen time. Well, now we're in the, kindergarten age, and telling Mom too much screen time. Now, she had her phone open at bedtime, so she's probably sitting on the bed. And here's the son, once again, another child that just says what's on their mind, felt that attention lack. Are you really here? I'm here. Come on. It's bedtime. Listen to me, Mom. She told him that she would do better. And the challenge is to keep that promise. That's what Alice sees as her challenge. I think we all share in that. Whenever we're doing a time excellence change, a principle, our challenge is to keep the promises we make to ourselves, the new direction we want to go, the new learnings we've got. It's always a challenge to keep it up, because we will migrate right back to her old ways. But she promised her 6-year-old son that she would do better. So let's stand back. What time principles can we learn from that we might apply to our lives? Well, first, time positive situations, those situations that we have extra time, that Debbie had, can also be a challenge to use effectively. So there are some of us that are time negative, to where we don't have enough time to get done. There are people with time positive, and there is just as much challenge in a different way, that things are creeping in that waste a lot of time. And electronic devices of all types, TVs, radios, cell phones, smartphones, tablets, computers, you just keep the list going on. It can be a challenge to use them effectively. And that's one of the principles we want to really consider today and remember. Secondly, use of our electronic devices can impact others in a variety of ways. How much time are you on it? They're not getting the attention that maybe they needed. And secondly, when they are there, we're not interacting, and that's almost an offensive behavior that we can do better at. We can affect others at work. Debbie was sending emails and texts to people at work. Well, don't tempt them. Try and do it at lunch. Save it till the evening if possible. Is it really that important? And find other ways to communicate, or find out when they can communicate. They could get in trouble at work. Now, I guess most of you realize that at work, they have systems that if you hook into the network at work, there are computer systems watching what's going on, and they can actually get reports on how much time and what is going through their server. So those texts are actually being recorded or could be recorded at your company. It's one of those things that just isn't a smart thing to do and put yourself at risk, because at work, you're supposed to be working. Now, if you're at lunch, I'm sure that's a different thing. Each company has their own electronic device policy, but others at work in their networks can really be challenged. And others that we interact with, we talked about that they can be challenged also, in that they feel that you're not with them at the moment. The time adds up. Another time principles. We often use way more time than we realize. I'm just checking my email. I'm doing every 10 minutes, and it becomes a habit, and that habit really doesn't add value, especially to our goals and our dreams and our priorities. So watch for time adding up in these electronic devices. Another principle is that often we can't see it. We're blind to ourselves. We can't see our own actions. We don't realize it's going on. Or we see it and we're in denial. If we can't see it, isn't it great? A child or a good friend is just going to say, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize you're not paying attention? And the child will say it before they even think that you got too much screen time, Mom, just too much screen time. Well, they're saying what's on their heart, and those help us to see what often we cannot see. Most things have a good side and a bad side. The internet's that way. There is a lot of good out of it. There's a lot of bad. The emails can be a lot of good. Quick communication, far distance, right there on the spot. Pictures can be sent. Just a lot of great stuff, quick communication. But the negative side, we've talked about some of them. You can over-communicate. You can over-copy people. They don't need to see all this stuff. It's not important. You're interrupting their life with things that are really basically down at a nonsense level. So be sensitive to it. Know the people you're going with, and some of them may like to see that picture of you having lunch. Others may like to hear from you and know how you're doing, but not as frequently. So be sensitive. Use the good side of electronic devices, not the bad side. And children, good friends, final principle on this is they tell us exactly what they see. We need to listen to them. We absolutely need to listen to them. So lessons learned, plan your time. I always recommend allocating time buckets. Don't do the to-do list necessarily. To-do lists are promoted by a lot of people that haven't done what I'll call a lot of time improvement projects, a lot of business projects, etc. And if you allocate a time bucket, if you think about it, say, how much time in a day am I going to spend on the internet? How much time am I going to spend on social media, texting, etc.? Is that 2 hours? Is that 1 hour? Is it 5 minutes? I don't know the right answer for you, but I do know if you put it in a bucket and then divide those buckets up, you can start to gain control. And so time buckets is a lesson that we want to take with us. If it's 1 hour a day, I'm going to allocate because there's some entertainment value in there and there's some communication value. Well, do it 4 times a day in 15-minute buckets. So take 15 minutes, check your emails and answer them in the morning, 15 minutes in the early afternoon, 15 minutes in the early evening, and then maybe late at night. Do something like that to get to-do lists will not have internet and email on it, and you'll tend to just start doing it because the to-do list doesn't keep you bracketed. Also use your priority focus list to allocate time. I can be on the internet and I'm working, doing these broadcasts takes a lot of internet time, a lot of computer time. But I've still got to be sensitive to, I've got to take breaks, I've got to exercise, I've got to do those things. And so it's very valuable. So focus on what's important to you. And if you're spending a lot of time on your phone, etc., and it's not really adding value, it's not growing friendships, it's not really the way that's getting you to your goals, then consider making a change there. Be sensitive to others is a lesson learned. If you should or could be interacting, turn off devices. If you're with your children, if you're having dinner, if you're doing, turn them off. There are occasions that you've got to monitor it. You might be out, you got kids at home with a babysitter. You want to make sure that they're not trying to get a hold of you. But don't answer the question that's not so critical. People are watching you, and even tell people, hey, I've got to watch my phone. I've told my babysitter to text if anything comes up, they have a question. So I'm going to just take a glance at it, and if it's something important, I'll answer it. But I'm listening to you. I'm here in the moment. Keep records of a few weeks' usage. If you don't know where you're at, you usually don't realize. Start writing it down. Take a sheet with you, or do it on the notepad and on your device, and just start monitoring the time. Watch yourself and see how much time are you spending. So keep records. Listen and be sensitive to others. Pay attention to the moment. Electronic devices tend to make you not pay attention. Guilty as charged, I am. I have to force myself to pay attention. I have to force myself into these time buckets, take breaks, get up, walk around, make sure I get my kid time in. If I want 1 hour at a time, kid time, I got to make sure I get that in. If I am, the electronic media time is not there. Same way with work. Make sure those time buckets are filled with the right thing. And finally, just free information. We all know this. Don't drive and use your smartphone. Just don't do it. It's not smart. It's dangerous. It's been proven to cause accidents. We should be smart enough to be able to control ourselves in these areas. So really, don't drive. We've all been behind that person that is just talking away, just oblivious, going 20 miles under the speed limit. We've all seen those people swerve to the side, dangerous. And unfortunately, we hear about accidents. It's just not smart, with lessons learned in that. Well, that's been a great segment. I hope you've learned a lot. We will return in just a moment. Time excellence, the key to making more of a difference today by maximizing time for organizational, career, and personal achievement. We invite you to join us for each episode of the Time Excellence Show to write an even brighter chapter in your life. One of hope, growth, and purpose. The Time Excellence Show, prospecting for time together. Clean and orderly, the time tip of the day. Now, this can be considered a time excellence foundation, and it's one that I continue to struggle with, have always struggled with it. So maybe you're in this same bucket, but we're going to look at this time tip. A lot of organizations start here. This is a good place to start, and it's a foundation. So we're going to talk about being clean and orderly, possibly as a starting point. I've put them together just so people remember it. Doesn't mean anything, but Clorderly. If I say Clorderly, it's the clean and orderly. You can kind of understand that they really mix together. One without the other doesn't get us where we need to be. It gets us only part way. And if you do start your time excellence and clean up an area and put it in an orderly shape, you've probably done that before, you get an immediate sense of accomplishment. You feel like you've really done something. From a time perspective, you've done some, but probably not as much as you will do with other principles. But it's a necessary evil, and it's one that will give us a sense of accomplishment. For your major task areas, focus on an area. So wherever you spend a lot of time, do a lot. If I'm a housewife, it might be a kitchen. If I work, it might be at work. It's my office. When I'm at home, what do? It may be a little home office I've got, the desk, those type areas. If I do a lot of yard work, it could be my tools in my area. But wherever you have a major task area, we want to think about focusing on that area and make sure that it is uncluttered. Get rid of things that aren't used in that area. It should only be a clean surface ready to be worked on. It should be everything's put away, the dishes are put away, etc. And in it should be the old spick and span philosophy. Everything should be wiped down, cleaned up, dust not there. It has a air of quality and excellence. And it's that foundation that allows us to be extremely effective in our techniques that we bring to that process, because again, we spend quite a bit of time there. It's clean. And I know I've read some people that in a kitchen, it's the sink. The sink is the area that tends to not get there. And so we make sure that the sink is uncluttered and clean. It's constantly cleaned up. It's never, dishes get put away. They get put in the dishwasher. They get washed frequently and dried and put away, whatever you've got in your kitchen, but it's clean and orderly. But the sink could be a real focus area. It might be your stove too. Pick an area, but in general, it's all there. We don't have things in the way. We don't have things that are sitting out in our way, and that goes for all types of area. Orderly, what about the orderly type? It's labeled, well thought out. There aren't canisters that are unlabeled. What's in that canister? There's not boxes in my garage. Can I glance and tell what's in it? It may be see-through containers, but it's orderly. And anything that's not needed, get rid of it, garage sale it. If it's waste, throw it away, recycle it, give it to people that need it. There's a way to get it orderly, get it labeled, get it uncluttered, get it clean, get it orderly, and we go a long way toward perfection. If you do the task, be in the habit of right then, I'm getting ready to walk away, put it back in the state, in its perfect state. Right then. I'm not going to clean it up later. No, it'll take you less time to, we used the principle of flow before, we work and we clean, we work and we clean. We don't work, leave, work, wait, work, and then clean up at the end of the week. That just depresses us, and then the job is huge. If we clean up when things are first made, when we put the tools back, it's a good foundation and principle. And standardize as much as possible. If you use bins, well, if you can do the same thing, then people will learn. Your kids, your co-workers, they will learn that this is how it works in this place. Now, I don't want you to spend extra money, so you can use different things. But if you're going to set up a new system, hang everything the same way, hang your tools the same way, organize them in the drawers, put identifiers on where the tools go, label the drawer. All that helps in standardization. And lastly, assign an area of responsibility. Who owns this area? Who is going to be the primary owner? And it doesn't mean they're going to have to clean everything up, because if I go into my wife's kitchen and I do something, I get something to drink and I use a glass, that glass had best go in the place that she has designed for it to go, not just sitting on the counter. It goes if I'm going to reuse it, it goes in a reuse place. If I'm done, I rinse it. In this case, put it in the dishwasher. If I get out lunch and I make lunch, everything goes back the way I found it, and I record anything that may be out. So it's her area of responsibility, but we all participate. And the more we can make it systematized, other people can gain from that too. Does that make sense? Clean and orderly. It is one of my biggest challenges in keeping my time excellence behaviors going in the right direction. It's foundational. It's where we should start often, because it's from that basis we can actually look at the process and put the things in the right place. But it's one that many of us are challenged with. I hope you picked up a few tips. We will be returning in a moment. Time excellence, maximizing our time to make more of a difference through game-changing organizational, career, and personal growth. Take the next step. Save your spot in our free Time Excellence Training webinar, revealing the 3 phases and 7 steps to your new tomorrow at douglascalvin.com/webinar. So what's our challenge? Well, we just want to keep this in our minds. Our challenge is to use our time opportunities the best way that we can. And we've looked at some examples that talk about how we can use our time opportunities the best way that we can in our unique situation, in our unique environment, with our unique skill set, with our unique challenges. We can do better tomorrow than we did today. And that's our goal, to use those opportunities the best way we can. So let's assign ourselves some actions today. Number 1, observe your electronic device usage patterns. Is there any opportunity for improvement? And if so, take some action. Put it in your head. I'm going to do this. Commit to some people if it involves them, and take action. We can all do better with our electronic devices, and we want to take that as an action step from this segment. Could you have time savings from those improvements? Well, the answer is probably yes. How much? I don't know. But most people can have time savings if you're using electronic devices at all. Yes, there's still some that don't, but you know, it's getting more and more and more. And the first story we talked about today was a grandma. Role reversal totally. It was fun, and it kind of shows how the times have changed. Is there relationship savings? More important probably than the time savings. Are you doing with your relationships, your spouse, your children, your friends, your coworkers? Are you insulting them without realizing it? Are you shortchanging them when your attention should be genuine? Are you able to listen to them with the same intensity that you would if you didn't have the electronic device on or available? Great questions. Second action for today. Identify 3 areas. Let's just focus on your top 3 where you do most of your tasks during the day or the week. And let's set them in a Clorderly condition, that clean and orderly state. One by one, just pick one to begin with, but let's get 3. I will assure you, you will get a sense of accomplishment if you do this. Just pick those out and set them in a better state, and you will feel like you have lifted a weight off your shoulder. And it sets up using the other principles that we learn on the Time Excellence Show. Take one more step forward. That's action item 3. Just one step to improve your time excellence. We've learned a bunch of principles today. We have learned from people stories. We have learned some time excellence principle that we can set in motion on being clean and orderly, and take that step, because as we go through this series, your life will start aligning itself better and better. You'll become more and more effective, and you will get more done. So take that extra step. Remember to visit us at douglascalvin.com. You can get registered with our training webinar at douglascalvin.com/go/webinar. You can email us at douglascalvin.com/contact. We can be reached on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and iTunes for the podcast. Go to our site. In the top right corner is just some buttons. Click those. That'll take you right to the site. It won't do anything else except take you right to the site. Very, very easy. And if you want to help others get this feed, then we invite you to partner with us and comment and share and retweet, friend, do thumbs up. All of these social media activities help gets on the news feeds, helps it go out to more people, helps it to go to your people. and gives them an opportunity to improve. And you can be a huge partner in that effort. Time excellence. It's the opportunity to maximize our time and make more of a difference. I'm Douglas Calvin with douglascalvin.com. Thanks for joining, and until next time, we will see you then.